Greetings and salutations, Roboteers, your friendly neighborhood Voltsicle here, and I'm going to give you my opinions on missile launchers, if they're OP, if they have any flaws, what I like or dislike about them. And to talk about that, we actually threw together an LAPD-themed platoon. Here you can see the vehicle 03 Wood M used, and I decided to go with this LAPD theme after my first video because I thought it'd be a lot of fun to try something a little different. And we invited our friend Kush 710, and this is his drone here, as you can see, also sporting the missile launcher. Now, we did have another member, Squishy Biscuit, running a tank tread flak vehicle. You'll see him in the video, but I wasn't able to rent it in the CRF to give you a little spinning garage treatment, so let's just jump right into the video here. You're going to see Squishy Biscuit right underneath me here, and by all means it was an awesome vehicle too, and definitely had that policey theme that I was talking about. Now, let's jump into it right away. I did not do this video yesterday because I knew the protonivity of these missiles was too damn high. Even then, it was a pretty fast clear on the tower, as you can see there. But this is Friday. This has been nerfed by like half of what it was, so it's more in tune with what you would expect. I guess if you have any expectations as what you should be doing, definitely better than the flak, obviously, which is terrible at clearing towers. Now, okay, the missiles themselves. Having it so that the only benefit of having more than one is purely redundant. I guess if one of yours gets destroyed, you still have one. I very much enjoy that. It means that my ship doesn't have to be covered in 12 guns of redundancy just to keep maximum DPS. Just having two, maybe even I've seen a couple people with 3, and that's great. I think that's a great way for the game to go. Because gun beds, I think, look stupid. I've never liked them. This thing down here with all the mech legs and like 30 guns attached to them is just insane. I don't know why anybody would think that's a fun bot to play. It just doesn't make sense to me. So having it so it's this one expensive, well-performing unit is great. I love it. Okay, next thing, let's talk about the lock-on. Love it, love the sounds, love the feel of it. I like the skill of it. People think, oh, no skill, you just kind of look at them 3 seconds. No, there's a lot. If you actually go up against some of the better players, like this is just regular BA, but if you take these things in a league and you get it in the hands of some real good players, there's been some epically fun dogfights I've had with them, even against ground units, air units, whatever. It's been real fun. Surprisingly, I've seen a lack of hovers, so I haven't actually played hover this patch. I don't know what's going on there, if it's just a coincidence, but maybe the fact that these missiles do explosive damage is spreading to hover components too easily. I don't know if people just build their hovers bad. I haven't tested that yet. I've just been loving this rotor helicopter so much that I haven't even touched my hovers as of yet, but I will be doing that in the future here to give them a try, because historically, being a hover medic, and more recently since the full spectrum combat hover SMG, I'm definitely going to want to try the missile launchers out with hover. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I might not get blown out of the sky with flak so much, so that'd be great, definitely. But yeah, okay, so now, is it overpowered? I'm gonna say no. I've come up against a lot of drones, a lot of Tesseracts, that I still don't have an easy time of destroying them. Generally speaking, I think that was the design philosophy they were going for, was to try and eliminate the Tesseract drones. Not to crush them, make them utterly useless, but just less dominant. I think these work very well at that. They very clearly have a counterplay if you use them in the air. I mean, flak, as you can see, is still very good at doing its job as anti-air. As far as using them on the ground, if you took a closer look at Woodspot there, ideally you do some sort of advanced building techniques of either diagonal wheel bots or walker bots with like mech legs and insect legs in the front, so that you have this hunchback sort of perspective, so the missiles actually get some height for any kind of ground vehicle. That's definitely the way to go for that. But as far as them being, are they too OP on the ground? I've seen a lot of people saying, should it be that they only can target ground and not air? Leave the air to flak? I don't know. I'm not really feeling like it's overpowered. I think people are just kind of claiming that because it's so saturated right now. You know, everybody, it's new, it's shiny. Everybody's giving it a shot right now, so there's more than there would normally be. But I still see stuff like the plasma. I still see people playing SMG, flak. Rail got a huge buff, and I still see Rail. Honestly, there's not that much extra rockets. I think they're just easier to see, they're easier to notice, and people are focusing on them. And a small portion, I would say maybe 15% more people are on missile launchers right now than anything else. Now, do they have any flaws or weaknesses? I'd say kind of, sort of, not really. In terms of the way you do the lock-on, camera jitters, micro freezes, stuff like that can feel a little jarring in terms of establishing the lock-on. Like if they come out of that crosshair while you're locking on, you have to start the lock-on procedure all over again. Once you're locked on, you have quite a bit of leeway. I think that leeway needs to be extended to the locking on portions, because you see this guy is like, the second I lose him, I lose the counter. And maybe the counter shouldn't go away instantly. Maybe it should like have a degrade. So instead of it going from like lock to nothing, it should go to lock to two little triangle reticle things that you see there, and then to one, and then it's gone. Sort of, so if you reacquire the target within a second, you only have to wait an extra second. You can only wait for as much time as you lose instead of losing all the time. So I think that's definitely a weakness of them. So if you make a fast, agile bot, you're going to have a hard time getting lock-ons. And even when you do get a lock-on, these things turn like a bus. You constantly see when you're shooting air units that these things just go round and round and round and round and round in circles trying to hit the bots, because they just juke them enough that they cannot make contact with these bots. So, are they overpowered? No. Do they have any weaknesses? No, not really. Kind of, sort of. I'd say they're pretty balanced. I mean, there's a little bit of issues here and there. Again, in my opinion, they're very strong in certain situations, but again, that's kind of, in my opinion, my experience with them. Individual people's experience may differ. More importantly, they're fun. I've had so much fun playing with these missile launchers. You know, it feels like one of the play styles I never had. This is the feeling I had when Nano Disruptors first came out, and I was like, I'm going to be a healer for the next year. And I was. I only ever played Hover Nano. Anybody that knows me knows that that's what I played. I didn't even switch it up in between matches. I was just like, yep, this is me, this is what I'm doing, I love it. Obviously, healing kind of got nerfed, and I stopped doing that. But with these missile launchers, barring the fact that they get nerfed into the ground for people whining over them, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with them. I love them. So much fun. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what we can do in terms of community feedback. If I had to give feedback on these missile launchers, I would say, number one, change it so that you don't need one, that they max out at 2. And the best way to do this is change it so that each pod doesn't have 6 rockets, but 4. So 4 apiece, but if you use 2, you're able to shoot a volley of 8 total. I think having some variance, whether you use 1 or 2, is a big difference, because right now when you see the drones that are using them, they're just using the 1, and I think to get maximized, if they had to use 2, that would kind of balance it out a little bit more, and I think they should weigh more. They are freaking lightweights. This helicopter of mine is so fast when it wants to be, even with 2 of them, and barely any thrusters. I've got like 4 tier 10 or max level, whatever you want to call it, movement thrusters, and a couple downward thrusters. That's it, and it's still zipping like there. Tesseract bastard, and even Cush's drone there. If he was slowed down a little bit, or had to use 2 to maximize the weapon, I think that would be an interesting way to test it. I'm not going to say that's what we should do. I'm saying we should definitely test it. The devs should try some experiments. You know, they probably already have behind the scenes. They probably said, hey, let's make a rocket launcher that shoots, missile launcher that shoots 12 missiles, and then let's do 8. And then they kind of settled on 6, and maybe 4 didn't feel as good. But maybe they didn't do the thing where if you had 2 sets of 4, that would work out to 8. Maybe that would be fun. I'm sure they did a lot of different stuff behind the scenes that we never get to hear about, but I would like to see more of this testing go public. So definitely switching to 4x4 4 pods would be a fun way to maybe sort out some balance issues with Tesseract / drones and the weight. And if Free Jam watches this video, who knows? Yeah, so let's talk about more what I'm doing right here. This suiciding the core type thing. Is it balanced for protonivity at this point? I'd kind of have to say yes. I've done a lot of backdooring when I played a Hover Nano, and back then, Nano had pretty much the highest protonivity out of any weapon. And what I just did there, which was about 1.5 lines of the core, is what I would do in that same amount of time frame with a nanogun. The nanogun just being very much more precise. I'm getting only the crystals I need, whereas the missiles are getting AoE damage crystals as well. Maybe tune it down a little bit, just a little bit less damage on cores and towers, and I think that would be okay. But otherwise, I think they're in a good spot all around. My overall opinion, I would say, is it's fairly balanced, just like the flag. Okay, now just real quick, balance of RoboCraft on the whole. I think time to kill needs to be doubled. Components being shot off in single volleys or single rail hits doesn't feel good. I would definitely look at increasing the health points of all things like guns and movement parts. Obviously not thrusters, we don't want thruster armor to be a problem again, but certain things like that definitely need to be increased, because the time to kill just feels really low, even for the tankiest of tanky robots. If they get into a bad spot, I've seen them go down as quick as like 5 or 10 seconds. So yeah, I definitely think those should be increased. But the too long didn't watch version is, yeah, I love missiles. They could use some basic tweaking. RoboCraft as a whole could use some basic tweaking. And that's about it. So I'm gonna quickly wrap this up. I'll see you guys in the upcoming videos coming up next. There's my score. I sucked really bad that match for some reason. And yeah, have a good day.